Hello, hello, friends. Welcome back to the Blushing Mint. This is Dion. Today I have a brand new project for us. But before I get started, I want to thank you for joining me. I want to thank you for hanging out. Thank you for your comments and your shares and all of those other things with my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you being here with me on my journal making journey. So I wanted to start a new project, but I really didn't know what I wanted to do. And so I thought, I haven't made a folio in quite a while. And so I thought, I'll just show you guys a basic folio. And this is created from a manila file folder. Okay, so this is what my finished prototype looks like. Undo that here, and this is the cover. I haven't added any text or anything in the journal box here yet because I'm just not quite sure. This is literally just a prototype so that I had a finished project to show you guys. So inside this folio, you open it up, and the top is a pocket with a little tuck spot here so that when it folds down, the things don't fall out of it. And I've got a couple journaling cards in here, but you could use this to hold letters or mementos or anything like that. And then the inside, the first flap is just a tuck pocket with a little journaling card here. Then the next pocket is the same thing. It's just a pocket with a small journaling card and a larger journaling card. And that opens up, and each one of these has a pocket with journaling cards or a tuck with a journaling card. And then the piece de resistance is this cute little holder here where a sweet little journal pops out. And this journal, and I haven't decorated this journal or anything. This is, again, just a prototype for you guys. This is a hand-sewn signature. And then it's got 40 total pages, fronts and backs. And then inside each is a tuck spot in the back. So this could easily come out and be used in a purse or something of that nature. But yeah, I just thought this would be a cute little pocket, or a cute little project, for me to share with you guys. And this whole thing is created from a single manila file folder. So without further ado, I'm going to make my best attempt at teaching you guys how to create one of these folios. I have not done a demonstration video. I was literally laughing to myself as I was creating the prototype about doing demonstrations way back in my days of 4-H, when we had to do demonstrations. And I was like, because I literally have a list up here of my step-by-step things that we need to do to create this. And I was like, man, this is like creating a demonstration for 4-H time. It's been a long time since I've done that. So anyway, so this one is decorated and whatnot, but I wanted to have another one just to show you that this truly is all created from a manila file folder. And this particular one here, everything that is attached to it, etc., is all one file folder. I used no other embellishments, no other materials, no nothing, just the file folder. Whereas with this one, I did use some extra papers and things like that to get a little bit more creative. But anyway, so without further ado, here is our file folder. It truly doesn't matter what type of file folder, whether it's a 135 tab file folder, it truly doesn't matter. So the first thing that you do, and I have my little elements here, so I need a scoreboard, I need a paper trimmer, and then I have my regular paper glue, I have a glue stick, and then I also have Fabri-Tac because, like, for the lace and whatnot, I need Fabri-Tac. And then other than a pair of scissors, that's really the only thing that you need to create this project. So without further ado, here we go. So this is your file folder. The first thing you do is you trim the long edge of your file folder down to 8 inches using the fold of your file folder here as our guide. So I need to expand my paper cutter out to 8 inches. So I've got my 8-inch mark here, and then I am going to just trim this off at that 8 inches. And now what you're going to find is that basically that cuts off your tabs. And you know what? That's perfect. That's exactly how we want. That's really all we did was cut off the tabs. So here is our file folder. Now I'm going to set my paper trimmer aside. And then what I want to do is I want to set my file folder on my scoreboard, and I want to score each of the long ends at 3.5 at 3.5. Yep. So I'm going to find the 3.5 mark here, and I'm going to score this one. And I'm going to score, I'm sorry. So I scored one at 3.5, and then I turn it around. That way I can make sure that they're truly both at 3.5, because sometimes the score marks, if I was to come in 3.5, it may not be exactly right. So I just like it to be exacting. Okay. Now, where your file folder, your original file folder, has the scoring marks down here on the bottom where you can make it wider at the bottom, we want that to be the back of our journal. So I want to keep those at the back. I'm just going to go ahead and go over these marks one more time on the back side at 3.5. I like to just make sure my score lines are very, very vivid. Okay, so now I have my score marks at 3.5 and 3.5 off this side. And then I have my, the score marks from the actual file folder is on my back side that I'm working with. And then now what I want to do is I want to fold everything at that score line. So I'm going to just open it up here, and I'm going to do my folds, and I encourage you to use a bone folder to make your folds. Okay, now what we want to do here is we are going to cut away. So if this is our folder right now, we are going to cut away the top 2 side panels. Okay, so we get out our little scissors here, and along your fold lines, you are going to cut away the top 2 side panels. Okay, and we all know that I've got the crookedest eye on earth. We want to try to keep this as neat as possible, and for the experience of camera, I'm not doing the best job. Okay? But you want to be as neat as possible because these are the edges of our folder. Okay, so now what we're left with is we're left with our top folder, our top fold, and 2 side folds. Okay, so now you can see the shape here. If this is our prototype, here's what where we're left with here. So now what we want to do, and why I confused myself already, is we're going to take this back to our cutting board, or I'm sorry, our scoreboard. That's what this is. And I need to score this on each side again, now at 3 1/4. So we had scored it at 3 1/2. We also need to score this bottom one at 3 1/4. Okay, and so then we do the same thing, and we're going to flip our side here, and 3 1/4 here as well. All right, so now when we are folding in our flaps, we want to make sure that our flap is, they will easily fold. You see what's happening here is it's getting caught up on so we need to like take this edge down another 1/8 of an inch or so, just to ensure that it will fold in neatly to the folio when we're done. So again, I score that, or I cut that down just about another 1/8 of an inch there. And then we have plenty of room. Now, across the top, I need to go ahead, and so if that top is 8 inches, I need to score this at between 7 1/2 and 7 3/4. That 1/8 in there, I need to score it there. And that is going to give us the room at the top here, so that when everything tucks and our journal is in there and whatnot, we have plenty of room for everything to fold neatly inside our folio. Okay, so that is our space there. And we're going to come back now, and we're going to fold at each of those new score lines. Okay. Alrighty. So now we want to take our strip. So we have 2 strips here. One has the main index tab here on it, and the other one just has a smaller index tab here. We want to take the one with the main index tab, okay, and we want to trim it to fit across the top of our middle section here. Okay. And then you just cut off that excess. Okay. And then what we want to do is we're going to glue it to the bottom here. What you can see is that when we fold our top at our score line, it is short for the rest of our folder now, okay? And so what this does is by gluing this on here, it's going to lengthen that top for us, as well as it's going to give us that tabbed look that I'm looking for this particular folio. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that when I glue it, I'm gluing it so that the top of where my tab sits covers the entire bottom section of this folio. So I don't know, I don't have a great way of describing it, I don't think, but hopefully you see what I'm saying. We're lengthening our top flap to cover our full folio. And it doesn't need to come over, it just needs to come to. So if that makes sense to y'all. Okay. And then you get that glued in place. Okay, so there is that. And then using the remainder of the tab strip, so we can use the remainder of this strip and or we can use this strip here as well. We want to create 2 more tabs, one for each of our side flaps. So then it will have a tab here and a tab here. So that's our goal here, is to use the remainder of our tab strips to create those. And so I basically just trim it off here, and then I hold it up next to one of the other tabs, and then I just cut that tab shape right out there. So then we've got our, I didn't do the bestest job. Okay, so then I'm going to just glue this here along the edge there, and I'm going to glue it right onto our page. on that one. Oh, gotta let the dog in. Hold the phone. Come on, buddy. Starting to rain outside, so he wants to come in. All right. So there's that one. Then we're going to take our other one here, and we're going to do the same thing. And we're just going to trim it to create that shape. And then we are going to glue this one at the bottom of our tab, or the bottom of our folder here. A little glue. All right. So now we have our flip up. We have our two flaps that are going to fold over. And now using the scraps of leftover file folders. So now these are the scraps that we have left from our file folder. So using the scraps for that, we're going to create the two small flaps for the inside of our folio, and that's going to be these two flaps here, and that's what's going to hold our journal inside. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to do that. So and our inside should be 4.5. So we want these to be a little narrower than 4.5. So we're going to take one of our tabs here, and we want to cut it at about 4.25. Okay, and then this tab is approximately 3 inches, so we are going to cut it at 1.5 inches. And then we'll cut this one down to 1.5 inches too, because clearly I couldn't read my own. That's okay. All right, and then what we're going to do is we are going to bring those to our scoreboard. You can make these as wide as you want. I know mine in here are wider than that. I think mine in here are 2 inches wide. Yeah, so that made mine 2.5 when I cut it. So anyway, we're going to take this and we're going to score this at 1/4. I've lost my little, there it is. Going to score it at 1/4 inch here. And same thing on this one. We're going to score it at 1/4 inch. We're going to fold that under. And then we kind of notch our corners. And now I would highly suggest you make yours wider. I would say your width is 4 1/4, but I would say your length is at least 2 inches for these tabs, and that your base here is at least 1/2 inch. And you'll see, so these are 2 inches with a 1/2 inch base here. It's not a game changer. It doesn't make or break anything, but it just gives it a little bit extra leverage. But however you do it, it's all going to work out. From here, this is just a basic tutorial and a basic folio, and you can add and do all sorts of things completely differently. So now we glue on the back side where we folded. Oh, the other thing I want to do in here is I want to go ahead and I want to round the corners on this. So I got my little quarter rounder because I do want those corners to be round. And then I drop just below the top, centering it in the center of our pocket here, or in the center of our folio, and we just press that into place. Same thing, we're gonna corner round our corners and glue the back side of our fold. Okay. And so this one turns down, this one turns up, and we want it to be right at the very bottom of our folio. Not over our bottom edge, but literally right at our bottom edge for our folds. Okay, now this forms your holder for your journal, and then we've got our 2 pockets and our flaps. So this is our basic folio body, and this is all created from our single manila file folder. Now from here we still have scraps and pieces that we can use for belly bands. So like up here, I used a belly band. I have that additional tuck flap here. And then I created pockets over here. And all of that was created using what is left over of my scraps here. But from here, I would suggest that you start laying out your decorative papers from here. That way you can cover everything as needed. It will make it a whole lot easier to cover from this point versus trying to cover when you've got your pockets and everything in place. So I highly suggest that at this point you decide what your decorative items and what paper you want to use and whatnot, and then you actually start covering all of these pieces, and then we'll come back together and we will put in the pockets and all of those other things. So for right now, I'm going to leave you with this basic tutorial, and I'm going to run over the steps one more time with you just so it makes sense. So we took our file folder here, okay, and we stuck it in our trimmer and we trimmed it down to 8 inches. Then we scored each of our long sides at 3 1/2 and essentially 3 1/4. So 3 1/2 and 3 1/4 on each side. That gives us our gussets on both sides. So score each long side 3 1/2, 3 1/4. Make sure that your original score lines from your file folder are on the back. Fold at all of the new score lines that we've got. And then you cut away those top 2 side panels. And then score that middle panel down approximately between 1 inch and 1.5 inches. And that gives us our center crease at the top, okay? Then we want to trim our side panels down about 1/8 of an inch, just so that they fold neatly into our center. And then you took the tab of the index tab, trimmed it to fit across the top and the middle, and we lengthened that center line of our folio here to cover the full bottom of our folio. We took the rest of that index tab and we created our 2 side tabs and glued those on to each of the side pieces. And then we used one of the scraps and we made the 2 interior flaps that are going to hold our journal. And that is literally where, that's literally the foundation of this folio. So 1 file folder into this. And so I hope that was easy as mud to follow. And then I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to decide what papers I'm going to use to cover my folder with. And then I'll come back to you with that. And then we'll begin decorating our pages. So I hope that made sense. I hope you got something out of this. And I can't wait to see where this folio turns out. And I can't wait for you guys to try this and show me folios that you have created by yourself. So for now, friends, thank you for joining me for this quick little tutorial. And we'll get back together again the next time. And we'll be decorating and letting the fun begin. Until then, be well, and we'll chat soon. Bye-bye.